Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I would like to thank you first for clicking on the video, and I hope this guide helps you enjoy the Warframes featured in this guide even more. By the way, I kindly ask for your support again by simply liking the video at the end and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for all your support, and now let's dive into the guide. As you all know, one of the best survivability in Warframe is the shield gating mechanic. Basically, you'll be given a couple of seconds in vulnerability after your shield breaks. There are a couple of ways to abuse the shield gating mechanic and make your Warframes immortal in almost all missions except for those missions that has enemies with toxin damage. While this technique is overpowered, I don't want to leave any important details, such as its main weakness is against those infested enemies that deals toxin damage. The element bypasses any shields and directly attack your health, so you won't even get a chance to activate the shield gating mechanic if you are facing enemies like a toxic Eximus unit. In most missions wherein you play against Corpus, Orokin, Grineer, or even sentient enemies, shield gating is really a great survivability, and one technique that you can use to abuse the invulnerability is by equipping the catalyzing shield mod and pairing it with the brief respite aura mod, and as well as adding some ogre mods to give you more shield per energy spent on casting an ability. In most cases, your shield will drop to 70 plus with catalyzing shield, and one cast of an ability will fully restore it, allowing you to abuse the 1.33 seconds invulnerability. This is particularly effective with caster Warframes such as Mag, as you will cast all her abilities almost all the time, which allows you to constantly gain shield and will let you abuse the shield gating mechanic. If 1.33 seconds of invulnerability is not enough, then there's another method, but it would cost some investment. Take note that the invulnerability period can be increased depending on the shield values you have. The higher your shield values, the more invulnerability you will have. Max, you can gain 2.5 seconds invulnerability with 1150 shield values. This is great, but sometimes players often go with the catalyzing shield setup as it's way easier to achieve the max shield and get decent invulnerability time. However, Hildrin's Pillage ability can let you abuse the 2.5 seconds invulnerability with the right build and setup. Before we get into that part, I would like to share first also in this video on how powerful Hildrin is with the shield gating mechanic. The Warframe has 3.5 seconds invulnerability when her shield breaks. Also, allies that are affected by her Haven ability will receive the same invulnerability period, and you can literally spam pillage and abuse the shield gating mechanic since Hildrin doesn't need any energy to cast her abilities. Now, I don't know how you like to enjoy your Hildrin, but I strongly recommend trying a negative duration Hildrin build. Equip both Transient Fortitude and max out Fleeting Expertise in your Hildrin to lower the duration to 13% and then get as much range in your build as possible. The low duration will allow you to spam Hildrin's Pillage. Instead of having a longer travel time, it will expand in less than a second, and you can just spam it to strip the defenses of enemies and as well as get shields constantly. The range mods are for the initial expand radius of Pillage, and in this case, you will have almost 19 meters radius, which is sufficient to gain shield. Anyway, if you have Subsumed Gloom, then all enemies within 37 meters will also be slowed, that all you need to do is just spam pillage and kill them. The best part about this is that in steel path levels, Acolyte can also be slowed down by Gloom, and their defenses can be stripped away by pillage. The Eximus units, however, won't be affected by Gloom, but their defenses will be reduced by pillage. So far, this is still one of the best Hildrin builds in the game that lets you do steel path levels easily, as you have insane defense stripping and can also abuse the shield gating mechanic. In other Warframes, you can still abuse the shield gating mechanic with pillage, but like I have said, it would need some investment because you will also need to have energy efficiency while balancing range and power strength in your build. Let's take for example this Nova build. I know this Nova build looks ugly as it cripples most of her abilities that relies on duration, but this build allows you to abuse the shield gating mechanic so you can enjoy nuking everything with her antimatter drop. The best part about this build is that you are able to strip the defenses of enemies with pillage, allowing the blast damage of antimatter drop to deal more damage. Another build that I use pillage to abuse the shield gating mechanic is with Sarin. What I do is put high range and lots of power strength in my build. This allows me to get more shield values from pillage and as well as strip more defenses from enemies. However, with this setup, I don't usually go with max fleeting expertise as that would cripple my toxic clash, which I need to imbue toxin on my Sampo's hammer to nuke enemies. The pillage synergy with Sarin is really great as I can spread spore easily because of the high range. In addition, I can also use miasma and apply viral damage to a wide area. Then, I have pillage to abuse shield gating and as well as strip enemy defenses. The 19 seconds extra toxin buff from my third ability is enough, and this really pairs well with the Duviri hammer plus the melee affliction arcane. Overall, I can say that this is one of those perfect Sarin synergy that you can use in almost all missions in the game. Shield gating is really amazing when it comes to survivability, and these are just a few combos that you can use to enjoy Warframe without dying. In fact, sometimes, it feels like we are getting spoiled by shield gating and it makes the game super easy. So that's all about it. Be sure to check back later as I will be posting more videos as part of the series wherein I update all my Warframe builds. Thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you again in my next guide. Squad Leader signing off.